Ways of knowing are check on our instinctive judgments. To what extent do you agree with this statement? To answer this question, first, I'm going to define instinct, instinctive judgment, which for me is the first thought or idea that comes to mind when dealing with a situation, thing, or person. In any case, the first reaction or the first idea that someone might have towards a certain thing. Ways of knowing do affect quite a bit our instinctive judgments. Reason, to begin with, challenges the instinctive judgment due to the fact that using reason might go against instincts by changing the initial understanding of the situation. Per se, when the individual first gets an ideal, first idea and instinctive judgment, then if this individual might stop and reason the situation, he might get a different idea of what the situation entails. Perhaps a robbery might not actually be a robbery, but a move out once an individual logics out the situation that's unfolding before his eyes. Another way that reason challenges instinctive judgments is by the fact that stopping and reasoning instinctive judgments gets rid of the instinct part and turns into more of a reasoning judgment, a reason judgment that is made with reasoning. Therefore, it changes the whole definition, the whole denotation of the phrase, making it more logical and more not personal reactive, more thought out response. A good example of how reason might affect the instinctive judgments is playing with fire. How the first time someone plays with fire and they get burned, they're not gonna do it again because they know that it's bad for them. That they're gonna see something hot such as fire and they're gonna reason it out. They're saying, this is the first time this was not good for my body, therefore the second time is not gonna be any better. Another way that ways of knowing affect instinctive judgments is that they rethink them kind of with emotion. It's a way that they affect them by rethinking what the instinctive judgments are, because emotions might cause reconsidering a different situations, mostly deciding with sentimental values. Say you're dealing with a loved one, even though they're bad, they should. For example, a loved one might be a bad person, a thief, a murderer, but instinctive judgment would lead us to like the person, to try and defend the person due to it being our own bloodline. Therefore, emotion can change our instinctive judgments. If it was anybody else, if there was no emotion towards a person, then the person wouldn't really have that first thought of the criminal. It would be more like, oh, it's a criminal, he should go to jail. Another way that that reason affects instinctive judgment is that natural emotions might influence behavior, in the sense that natural emotions such as disgust or fear might influence a judgment at first glance. For example, there's been psychological studies on the feeling of disgust showing that most of the times the feeling of disgust is due to avoiding things, objects, or people that might seem that carry diseases in order to protect the body. Therefore, and fear as well is another factor that might affect the instinctive judgments. For example, the fight or flight response. That fight or flight response might affect the judgments because depending on the person, depending on how the person is feeling, depending how they feel about themselves, that might consider both of the options. One last way that instinctive judgment is affected by ways of knowing is that it's reshaped mostly by memories, mostly by experience per se. For example, as I said before, playing with fire would be a good case. If the person remembers getting burnt, then they're not going to do it again. Or say a person is betrayed, they're going to be careful next time they trust somebody else. A general example for how ways of knowing would affect instinctive judgments is, for example, a bad relationship in which the person might reconsider, might reason that it was just the person, but might rethink the situation based on his emotions, and his memories and past relationships might actually affect his future.